Hello, mamas, and welcome back to the Pregnancy with Physio Laura podcast. Today, we're kicking off with our 5th episode in our Newborn Life series with the wonderful Jen Butler. So many of the women inside the Pregnancy Posse asked me how they could get their partner involved in looking after the baby, as well as how to help toddlers or older children transition to a new sibling. So this is what today's chat is all about. Don't forget, we have already released the first 4 episodes in this series, so make sure you go back and listen to them first if you haven't already, so that you have really good understanding about today's episode. Enjoy! A lot of Posse members were asking me, and I know this would apply to the general pregnant population, how they can get their partner to help settle babies. So when is a good time to introduce settling from the partner? Should it be in the form of them giving them a bottle? Are there other methods that you recommend? What's your guidance on getting the partner to become part of the baby's routine too?
I would say straight away in whatever capacity you have. Okay, so if you're breastfeeding, I'd love it if men had boobs, okay? You know, I'm working on it, but it's at this stage, men don't have breasts. So that is down to mama.
Well, they do, but they're not lactating.
Yeah, exactly. They're not lactating breasts, like sort it out, men. But they can do so much else. You know, you are not always going to use your breasts to settle them. They can do the 5 S's. Like, they can be doing the sideline. They can be doing the rocking. To answer your question about, you know, feeding. So if you are a breastfeeding mum, but perhaps you want your partner to be involved, recommendations is try not to get too many, the nipple confusion that can happen when we offer, you know, lots of teats or dummies and all these different things that are a little bit confusing for babies in, say, the first 4 weeks. But I actually encourage families from after that, even if you do a bottle or 2 a week, that is not a bad thing to introduce and have your partner do. So expressing some milk, or if you're formula feeding, obviously that's easy for you guys to just be sharing that role. But yeah, if you're a breastfeeding mum, to start introducing a bottle a few times a week. So A, your partner can be a part of that feeding process, and B, you're also getting your baby used to having feeds other than just the breast, because guess what? There will come a time that you want to have some time away from your baby, and it would be really nice if they're accepting of a bottle early on in the piece, not when you get, I work with so many families and they're like, my baby won't take a bottle. And that's really challenging down the track. So, you know, and that's a beautiful way to get your partner involved too. So you, like, especially, okay, this is something I did personally. Ted, my son, was a really quick, efficient feeder. Max was not. So he would take like an hour to feed, but then Ted was so efficient. But then I'd put him down and be all good. And then about 30 minutes later, he'd need some settling. So my husband would do that because the baby was fed. I had done, you know, my role, like in feeding, and then my husband would help me, and then so I could sleep before the next feed was due, and he'd do some settling. So it was very much teamwork from the get-go. And I encourage, like, if your partner can be a part of that too, bring it on.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice. And from my personal point of view, my husband J.A. did a lot of baby wearing. So he would get and also, how hot is a dad with a baby carrier?
Nothing better. Nothing better. I've got the most beautiful photo of Ryan with Ted we were in Byron Bay, and he's got this forward-facing little baby, and it's my favourite photo ever.
So good.
Yeah, it makes me want to have 50 babies.
Yeah. I think that's a really nice way. And even from my physiotherapy point of view, it's really nice to let mum have a break from holding baby. So if you're going to go for a walk and you know you want to put baby in the carrier or a sling or whatever it is that you use, getting dad to do that. Give mum's back a break. Just let her have some freedom from not having baby on her all the time. And I know that J.A. has always loved having the babies on his chest because I think he feels like he misses out on a lot of that. So that's another little tip, I think, is get the dad to do some baby wearing.
Absolutely.
So let's move on from the dads. Now, this won't apply to everyone, but I know this was a hot topic from my mums of multiple kids who already have a baby, asking about transitioning a newborn into a toddler's world. So you've got a toddler at home, you're about to bring a newborn baby home. I know that I found the transition a little bit tricky, but I'd love to hear your professional advice if you've got any tips or tricks Side note to all the listeners, Jen is not just a newborn parenting expert. She is amazing when it comes to toddler behaviour, and she has such a brilliant and kind and respectful way that she translates her parenting advice. So that's a topic for a whole other day. I really love Jen's take on toddlers and toddler behaviour. I think it's just beautiful. It's all about attachment theory and being kind and respectful and setting firm but fair boundaries. But anyway, topic for another day. But just so you know, Jen is also an expert in toddlers. So what are your tips, Jen, for transitioning a newborn into a house with a toddler or another child?
Yeah, and it's funny because I actually just did a big bulk recording of my podcast episodes for my podcast, the Early Parenting Podcast. Wow, I said podcast a lot then. I did that yesterday, and one of the topics was firstly emotions that I felt when I introduced my second baby, which, you know, I'll save that for anyone who wants to check that out. But it was also talking about separation anxiety, because one of the triggers for your toddler to experience separation anxiety is the introduction of a new sibling. And that's because even though we're there, we're not there. Like, we're now distracted and we're not giving our toddlers the one-on-one attention or the attention that they were getting, even if you've got more than, you know, if you've already got two. Any new addition to the family is distracting you to some extent. And like the way that they can react is the things like aggressive behavior that we often see toddlers doing, and, you know, sadness and more tantrums and all of the things. The biggest thing is behind every behavior, there is a reason for why your toddler is behaving in that way. It is so,
and it's rarely that they hate you or the
it's
baby.
Never exactly. It is never that they hate the new baby. It is never that they hate you, but they are aware that things are different, and that means that they're feeling some feels. And the best thing that you can do for your toddler is talk it out, bring it out, like bring it to their attention and say, like, we have to do a bit of guessing, because mostly, like, Max was only 2 when Ted was born, so his verbal ability, he couldn't say, "Mummy, I feel sad because there is a new baby in the house." So you've kind of got to preempt what's going on for them and name and validate their feelings. So the conversation could be something like, "Now, Mummy knows that you are missing Mummy, or that you're not getting as much attention, and I know that makes you feel sad, or I know that makes you feel angry, or I know that makes you feel frustrated." Like, we're putting words into our baby's mouth. But my biggest parenting, like, high was when Ted said it the other day. He's like, "Mummy, I feel really frustrated." I was like, "Yeah, you do, boy. Well done, son."
Emotional vocabulary.
Exactly. And I mean, hello, how many adults are unable to name their emotions appropriately? And it's because this is what's emerging in our world, is that we have to teach our children this language, and we have to teach them appropriate ways to feel the feels. Like, you know, like a conversation. It's okay to feel frustrated, Ted, but it's not okay to whack me in the face, okay?
I've had that conversation a lot.
I have that conversation daily. So, you know, but it's our job to continue. Like, it's not a one-off conversation that we have. It is an ongoing conversation that we're teaching our children. So I guess, like, to sum that up, bringing a new baby into the household is going to make your toddler or toddlers, however many you have at home, feel these feelings. So talk about it with them, validate their emotions. Role play is a wonderful thing where you can actually, you know, get your toys and be like, "Oh, Bunny's got a new baby in the house and, oh, he looks a bit sad. What should we do for Bunny to make him feel better?" Like, you know, you can, and it's amazing what kids actually bring them. Kids deal with things through play. So sometimes just observe them playing too, and you can see and catch them saying or doing things that you're like, "Oh my God," like, they're playing out things that are going on for them, and you can have that opportunity to slot in there and get your little bunny and say, "Oh, you know, well, Mummy just wants little baby to know that, you know, she's always loved," or like whatever that looks like. It's very hard to sort of preempt what that looks like. But
that's beautiful.
yeah.
I think that's great advice, Jen. And did you personally, or do you recommend that you would start doing that in the late trimester?
Yes.
Or wait until baby arrives? Yeah, you do.
This is how Nat came about. So Nat, my doll that I use for all my demos, she's named after my sister, Natalie. And like Max got given Nat for when I was pregnant with Ted. So that he had his baby and he would change the nappy of Nat and I got him involved in that sense. So it starts in pregnancy and, I think it depends on the sort of person you are, but try not to sweep these conversations under the rug and bring it out and talk it out. And, the more we talk about things, the better we are able to process it. No one wants to deal with yucky feelings alone. So just whatever you can, and I'm not saying it's going to stop it all, but it's going to help. And then you still have the dialogue that you can continue once the baby's here and it will, your toddler will hit the new baby, and that's when you do teach them the lesson. It's, I know it's tough having a new brother or sister, and I know you feel a bit sad, but we don't hit our brother or sister, and that's probably going to be a daily conversation for quite some time.
Yeah, I love that so much. But I do think sometimes you can feel like you're a parrot saying the same things every day. But I really do think in the long term, kids understand and they listen. And whilst it feels like they may not be understanding you at all, they get it. I think they really do get it. That's awesome advice, Jen. I think you're going to help so many women feel at ease, because I know women are nervous about transitioning their toddler to a new baby in the house. And look, if I can just add my 2 cents from when I had Pia, someone told me cut up fruit and have it in a bowl in the fridge so that when you're breastfeeding or occupied with your baby, your toddler can go and, because often it's, Mummy, I want food, I'm hungry, I want this. So if you can have things that are within reach of your toddler, that they can go to the fridge, grab their bowl of apples, grab their water bottle, whatever it is they need, it makes your life a lot easier. And the same with toys, having toys within reach. So, and especially new toys, that was another thing I was recommended, is have like a little package that's just for them when you feed the baby, and it's a new set of toys so that they are excited to occupy themselves with that activity while you are caught up, baby handling. So
exactly.
They're just a couple of extra tips. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jen. You are amazing. I have told you a million times. I just know how valuable this content's going to be for women. Now, I did put a call out to my posse members, my Pregnancy Posse ladies, to tell me what questions specifically they had for you. And a bunch of them came in, and you have so kindly offered to answer these questions for my posse members. So this content will be sitting inside the posse. So for all members, you will be able to access these videos and demonstrations. So Jen is going to be talking about dummies, all about dummies, when to introduce them, when to get rid of them, how they can be helpful. We're also going to be talking about swaddling, and Jen is going to use that baby Nat that she has been talking about, and she's going to show us her swaddling technique, because I know a lot of mums want to see how it's done. We're also going to be talking about pouches and suits versus swaddles and all of that jazz, because there's so many options on the market. And then lastly, we're going to be talking about sleep environment, white noise, blackout blinds, all of the things. Do we need them? Are they helpful at all? So Jen is going to be talking about that inside of the posse. So thank you so much for doing that for us, Jen. Hey mamas, Laura here. I really hope that you loved our 5th episode with Jen in this Newborn Life series. Getting your partner involved in caring for the baby is not only super helpful for you to have a break, but also fantastic to support your partner's bonding with the baby, as often they can be left feeling a little useless in those first few months. I also hope you love the bit on toddler tactics, because I know personally that was my biggest concern when I was pregnant with my second child. I wasn't sure how I'd handle my toddler's energy and emotions when I was with the newborn baby, but I'm confident that the tips that Jen and I discuss in today's podcast will really help you out. So have a wonderful day, and I will catch you soon for our bonus episode in this Newborn Life series. Until then, sending you wonderful pregnancy vibes, and enjoy the incredible journey that is pregnancy.